Hello, goblins and ghouls. So, today we're going to be looking at a bit of a different topic here. I'm going to be talking about how I first got into music and playing guitar and maybe some other instruments. I'll talk about that too. I was surrounded by music as a kid, like a lot of people, even if neither of my parents were musicians or sang or anything like that. I was kind of raised around it. Still, I was not very interested in music until sometime in the 1990s, probably like the mid 1990s or maybe in the early 1990s, somewhere around then. I heard the bands Nirvana and The Offspring, and I was pretty much on board at that point. I had bought both Nirvana's In Utero and Offspring's Smash album on the same day, so those were my first two cassette tapes back when those were still a thing. And they're still some of my favorite albums to this day. I do listen to them occasionally. But before I heard those two bands, I had only really paid attention to some music, but most of it lacked the kind of edge that I liked. Even back then, I was still kind of an edgy music person, I guess. I did like a few songs technically, like Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla song, because hey, it's a dumb, fun song about a giant fire breathing lizard, right? Who's not going to like that one? Um, so it's not like I hated music, but I just wasn't particularly interested. For the most part, I thought everything sounded like Bon Jovi or whatever. It just didn't have the edge. And no offense to, John Bon Jovi. He actually seems like a nice guy and everything. But it took something a little bit heavier than that to get my attention. But anyway, those edgier 1990s bands eventually led me to wanting a guitar, and I suppose in a way I might have had some dreams of rock stardom or whatever, at least starting a band, but that never really happened. But really, the first guitar I got was, I believe it was from my mom, and it was a white harmony guitar. And I really don't even remember much else about its model name or anything like that. It was just a beginner guitar from Harmony. And here's a dirty little secret about it, though. You can still do cool stuff with cheap guitars like that, and that even includes these beginner ones. I actually kind of miss that Harmony guitar because honestly, it had a nice, unassuming tone. It wasn't a jazz guitar, it wasn't a metal guitar, or even a blues guitar. It was just an electric guitar, and it definitely lets you put your own mark on what it was going to sound like. It was not a jumbo sized one or some oh so limited edition. We've never had one of these before models. It was just a very basic, rudimentary sort of instrument, and that's what I still love about it. I don't own it anymore. I don't really know what happened to it. It probably got thrown away or something like that. But I do have some. I don't know. I hesitate to even use the word emotions, but I could see somebody like getting choked up, remembering some musical instrument that they had. And speaking of like memories here, I remember the very first thing that I learned on the guitar was a pretty cool guitar line. And yes, it is from the Offspring. I mentioned them already. But you know that, I guess, the Arabic sounding part from Come Out and Play? The. That was actually the first guitar part that I learned. And I learned it from my cousin Dale. I didn't figure it out myself, unfortunately. I wasn't so musically gifted, but he showed me how to play that, and damn, that was cool. Um, there's really nothing to compare it to, like when you first realize that, hey, I can actually play that part. Especially when it's something like, not just like some cowboy chords or whatever, but you're playing something that's kind of exotic or, however you want to put it, special, unique, Like, not just that you're strumming a basic chord pattern or whatever. It's a really cool feeling. Um, but anyway, I don't know how much money my mom had to pay for that guitar, but it probably wasn't very expensive. And I do regret that I don't have it anymore. It's probably better than many of the extravagant musical instruments others have tried to sell me on. And oddly enough, I'm not fully convinced that it's just nostalgia talking. I think there is something to a guitar that's sort of neutral, like a blank canvas or an empty page. Whereas with certain guitars, you might have too many preconceptions, and because I'm basically a primitivist, I think I thrive by just keeping it raw and simple, and trying to throw out the book, so to speak. So anyway, feel free to share your story about how you first got into guitar. If you can find me on social media, I'm on Twitter. You can just look up my name. Um, and of course, if you do look me up, don't be a jerk to me, or else I most certainly will not, respond to you favorably. So just, be civil about it or whatever. Maybe you're like, maybe you're incapable of being cool or whatever. I don't know you. So, but just give it a try. Let me know what key moments created you as a music fan. And if you want, you can maybe share your music. It's up to you. But anyway, that's basically all I have to say about this for now. And have a good day.